Now, my MT09 has been a true all-weather fighter in bad weather, good weather, warm weather. I cooked this summer to the point where I was cooking me and the tires. That's not going to happen today. It's cold out there, and the trees not long ago had beautiful leaves, green, red, yellow. Now not so much, in fact, none at all. And if you want to watch this in 4K, simple, just adjust your YouTube device. Well, this morning we get up and there's ice in places, so I know it's below freezing. And it goes to freezing overnight. But it's not freezing now. It's getting up near 40 degrees. We want to get out on the road a little bit later today. But a couple of things I always think about on a day when it's this cold. I try to get out a little bit later in the day as it warms up. I call it the warm part of the day, even though it may only be in the low 40s. I don't know. But the truth is, and truth in advertising, as I'm getting older and most of my friends, you kind of cut off the riding season earlier and earlier as it gets cold. And I don't know why, to be honest. I just need to get riding in. I guess I'm addicted to riding. I don't know. But I try to get it right up until they either snow, salt the roads, or there's ice everywhere. And we're not at that point yet. So we're going to get out on the open road today. Now, even though it's cold, that when the sun is coming up now, it makes it feel warmer. Now, a couple little things as I pre-flight the bike. When it's this cold, or getting close to freezing or a little bit above, tires usually get a little softer. It's good to put a little air in, keep them up to where you think it should be. For me, that's about 32, 30 in the summer, 32 in the winter, and that kind of works for me under the riding conditions I ride under. Another really good tip is at the end of every ride, go to the gas station, fill up the tank so you don't have moisture in the tank. Anywhere you have air in the tank, if it's going to sit for a month after a snowstorm, you're just going to get moisture in the fuel. It's always a good tip, keep it full in the winter. Now, I nicknamed this video Naked Bikes and Naked Trees, and it wasn't that long ago. We had beautiful leaves everywhere. Well, they're all naked now. And we had a storm go through here, a real heavy rainstorm. A couple of days it was really brutally windy. There's no more leaves on the trees, but we still want to ride. So for people that follow the video, you know all summer I feed the fish. They're in hibernation right now. And when you raise koi, you have to keep some kind of aeration to keep the pond from freezing over, or you're going to lose all your fish. And right now, I actually did it this morning. I put the bubbler in. That's going to be on there until spring. And people always ask me, what do you do in the winter with the fish? Well, that's what I do, is keep the bubbler, but you can see they're in hibernation. It's almost like they're frozen in time, and they'll be that way until the warm weather comes. But for everybody, there's a cutoff point to when they ride. I haven't reached a cutoff point, well, not yet today. And maybe later in the day I'll be drinking a lot of coffee. Now, just other things might be good tips. I have a battery. I actually have two of them. And I switch them from bike to bike every time I come out to the garage. So pretty much what happens, every time I come out to the garage, a different bike is on charge until it tops off. Some people don't do that. Some people just let it sit for a month at a time. I have found that by doing that, I'm not replacing batteries as often as in the past when I didn't do it. Now, on a day when it's like this, it's pretty hard to keep the tires warm, not like in the summer. And you may or may not, according if you have traction control, see little step outs at the end of a ride. I see I had a little one there the last time I rode the bike. But they go away once you wear over them. But it's interesting to note how good the traction control is on this bike. It's excellent. And of course the ABS, which I've come to love. I'm in love with the ABS. I'd never believed that it could grow on me like it did. I have total confidence in it right now. Time to have another cup of coffee and get out on the open road. Now, another good little tip. On this really, really cold weather, get all the waxes and polishes and everything down in the cellar where it's warmer. You don't do them any favor by letting them freeze over. And for me, a big secret for staying warm is extra coffee before you leave. as it always is, out by the riding area, and we are up a little bit higher elevation. It usually is just a little bit cooler, sometimes 5-6 degrees cooler, and you always have to be prepared for it's going to be a little cooler up by the riding area every time. Now, once I got up into where the roads are really back roads, I noticed they have already put some salt in spots, not everywhere, but there's some spots, and you always have to be careful. You hit one of those spots, it can be really, really slippery. It can sneak up on you. This bike has a great traction control, but it's still, I don't like putting it to the test. I don't like gambling if I don't have to. Anyway, because this is an all-weather bike, and in the hot weather, oh God, you want to die sometimes. You're out there, it's so hot, the summer riding gear. Now you got winter riding gear on. Hands are getting cold, feet are getting cold. But as I always have said, a day like today is always better than a day on Rikers Island. And this is the only bike I own in my collection, my humble collection, that has traction control. And the only bike with ABS. And it is a comforting feeling on a day like today. Now, this is a sad note. This is a spot I pass all the time. It has this really old, probably 100-foot high tree. You can see in the background it has the storm that just came through, I guess, took it out, and they've made a pile of I don't know what that is. Maybe that's modern art. I don't know. They used to be an eerie, like a from a scary movie or from an Alfred Hitchcock murder story, an old tree. Now, one of the things, luckily, is the leaves they're pretty well on the gutters now. They're not out in the middle of the street like they were. One of the last time I rode, there was still leaves out. So you have a little confidence, but then you turn around and the first thing they do, they salt the roads. So and I've been looking at the new Regina chain, how it's breaking in the last couple of rides, and there's still grease flying off on the back wheel, no matter how many times you clean it. But knowing I have a brand new chain, it's worth the cleanup at the end of the ride. And every time I stop, pull over, take a look at the bike, the little custom touches that I've made, especially the wheels, I'm so glad I did every one of those little mods. This bike is a good example of how a lot of little changes, small things, painting a few flat black parts, making a few carbon parts, and the big one, painting the wheel. And when you put it all together, it took me almost 2 years to do it. And I think it was worth every minute of that time. And a general rule that I've used on this bike in particular, every time I took something that was flat black, painted it shiny, or painted it blue, even better, I like the bike better, and especially those silver wheels. Now, I was hoping somewhere in the course of the day I'd pass a couple of yellow or orange trees that would make for some good pictures, but you know what? Nature has taken over. Hey, good thing I saw the sign. I'd be going a little bit too fast. Got to keep the speed down here. Good thing they put that sign up. And this bike, when you get on these back roads where there's pretty much zero traffic and the roads are a little slippery, this just becomes the perfect bike for back road. Being a hooligan, being an outlaw, being a whatever, is a perfect bike. And it's not going to be long before you know it. The lakes are going to be frozen over up in this area. The people are going to be ice fishing. They will have salted the roads to death, and it'll be a big job. You can see the tires are white on this already. That salt is a killer, but it's still great getting out on the open road today. Now, after a few hours, it's time to get back to the farm. Karen's going to have a pot of coffee on when I get home. Something warm for lunch. Boy, you really appreciate a warm cup of coffee on a day like today. It's unbelievable. And no matter how cold it ever got, it warmed up a little bit toward the end of the ride. It was actually pleasant. No clouds in the sky. No chance of rain. Boy, anytime you can get a ride this time of year. Anyway, hope you were out riding too. Thanks for supporting the channel, and thanks so much for watching.